Yes, everybody, welcome back to Football United TV. This is Football United Airways, where we take flight to the MLS and Liga MX. I'm joined by a special guest once again, Michelle Sanhez. But you know what's coming right now? It's the intro. Yes, everybody, welcome back to Football United TV and Football United Airways, where we pretty much take flight all around the world to talk about domestic leagues in different nations. And we're here today with very special guests. I'm glad to have her on again because she's amazing. Michelle Sanhez, how are you doing?
Doing very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thank you. I know you've been doing a bit of working out.
Yes, trying to get strong and fit at 30. So you know how that goes.
You're not planning on turning pro boxer or anything anytime soon, Michelle?
No. I wish I do. I do Pilates and then Orange Theory, which is here. I don't know if you guys have it over there, studios, but it's like HIIT workout. So and then I'm also running a 5K on Thanksgiving morning. So just trying to get as fit as possible these days. Yeah,
that's coming up very soon. I mean, obviously, I can't remember the date of it. Is that in 2 or 3 weeks' time?
It's November 24th.
All right, so yeah, about 4 weeks' time. Okay, cool,
Mm-hmm.
awesome. That's going to be exciting. Make sure that you tag us in all your social media when it's to do with it, and we'll share it out to everybody.
Oh, thank you.
So Michelle, we got to talk about the MLS because obviously we will talk about Austin FC and how amazing they're doing. So it's the American MLS Cup Conference semi-finals that are going on right now. And of course, we had a few games in the last few days. Philadelphia beating Cincinnati 1-0 and LAFC beating LA Galaxy 3-2. I mean, that's a local derby as well in the conference semi-finals. I mean, it's tight, isn't it? I mean, it's but what are you making of what's going on so far? And I know, of course, you've got Austin versus Dallas on Monday, and tomorrow we've got Montreal versus New York. So fill us in, Michelle. How's it been, the MLS, since we last spoke?
Yeah, so since we last spoke, I think, Austin was second, which they kind of stayed second most of the season. And so things right now are panning out. It's knockout round semifinals, so it's only one game. Winner goes on to the next round. And yeah, things in the East, you have, so actually tonight, Saturday, here in the US, Montreal will play NYCFC, and the winner from that will face Cincinnati. And so that's how things are going on in the East for the MLS. And then things on the West, we have LAFC who won. We thought they were going to go into extra time. But then, they scored like last second as well. And so knocked out Galaxy. It was they call it El Tráfico. It's a Californian, Classico. So it was really exciting. But, no surprise, LAFC won Supporter Shield, and that's basically they maintained to stay on top of the table for most of the season, getting all the points. And then obviously under them goes Austin. And then, as you mentioned, we have the big Texas showdown. It's a very, very early rivalry. Obviously, Austin FC, second, year in the league. But, it's going to be super fun. Dallas against Austin. I didn't even have Austin going into the semifinals in the West just because, they're such a new team. I had them going into playoffs, but, they managed to surprise me. And Sebastian Driussi, oh my God, like the guy is just so good here in this league. I mean, I know he was a young, star, when he was starting his career at River Plate, and then, went to Zenit, and, did as much as he could. Didn't, he was in a few Champions games and stuff like that. So when I spoke to him last Saturday or Sunday, he was expressing to me how he feels the energy from the crowd, and it's something that he experienced, when he was, in River and his former clubs, because the fans here are just amazing. Like I couldn't even hear myself think last match.
Well, yeah, you were saying, Michelle, he played for River Plate, and we know about the crowds at River Plate. They're extremely dedicated to their team, aren't they? So for him to say that, it makes you feel like it's a real big boost for the MLS this season as well. And it's, really shook a lot of people off, surprisingly, how amazing it has been of a season so far. And there's still more to come.
Yeah, I mean, we hope so, right? We hope that there's more to come. I think tomorrow's advantage for Austin FC's game against Dallas is that they have such a, they sell out all games. So the stadium is packed, something that you don't really see in Dallas. Unfortunately, like Dallas and Houston, I don't really know what it is, but their fans are just, a handful of fans sometimes, right? They have been filling them up. Obviously, it's getting closer to its playoff season, so more people are going. But Austin FC has one of the biggest fan base, in the West. And then you see New York as well. It's like the stadiums are a little bit empty, so it's still a work in progress. I think when it comes to individual clubs, but definitely, when Sebastian Driussi is the MVP, you hear, well, not the MVP in the league, because Hani Mokhtar took that title with 23 goals. But I mean, the guy scored like 7 goals last game, and then two of them got taken away. But he scored his first basically hat trick. One was penalty, but yeah, all the games right now in playoffs are going into penalties. It seems like Austin FC went to penalties, Dallas went to penalties, both made it, and then you almost had a penalty shootout with LAFC and Galaxy. So things are exciting.
Well, yeah, it is, and just to go on the LAFC and the LA Galaxy thing. What's going on with that? Because obviously LA Galaxy were meant to be the dominant team in LA and meant to be the team that can sort of attract players to come over and play. And they've had a very decent history. But LAFC seem to be taking over that spot. Is there like a big rivalry now being boiled up and made in America between those two clubs, like in a situation in Los Angeles? Because it can only be good for the sport.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think LAFC has brought in a lot of new players this season. I mean, you have Chilini, you have Bell, big names, right? And they have the money to do that. Galaxy, has and obviously Carlos Vela, but Galaxy has a handful of players too. You have Chicharito, you have Araujo, and just like other big names. So there's always been a rivalry between those two clubs. But right now, I think LAFC's kind of taken over. With the amount of money that they have, but also like the players that they brought in. They have a really, really strong team. If not the strongest, a really strong team. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's going on over there on that side in California. Always been a rivalry between both clubs. Galaxy, was the favorite, but now they're slowly are becoming the little brother.
Which is good. We need to see that rivalry. I'm going to shout out a few comments, Michelle. Matt Bassett says, evening all. Big up everyone on the show. And Brush says, Big up, guys. Thank you all three for coming in. Please smash, share, subscribe, and like if you can. We'll move on to the next subject. Of course, you can talk a lot about Austin. Close to glory. They could be potentially in the final this season. What are you making? We've already delved into a little bit about Austin, obviously at the start, but yeah, touch a little bit more onto it, Michelle, if you please.
Yeah. For those who are new to Austin and the MLS, so Austin FC, second year in the MLS. They finished second in the table on the in the West. A lot of people didn't really have them going too far, at least when it comes to the MLS experts, writers and all that. I think even Coach Wolf printed out paper having all the names of all the journalists who put them on the bottom of the table this season, and he showed it to the players in the beginning of the season. It was like, these are the guys, you see where our expectations are. Yeah. And so now it's like a meme online if you ever Google it, but yeah, so Austin FC, they're right there. You see them. I see second in the table, and obviously strong LAFC. But because LAFC did win last game against Galaxy, if Austin FC wins tomorrow against Dallas, which is going to be a very, very hard game for them, it just gets harder and harder. They will be flying out to LAFC's stadium, their house, and play over there. On the bright side, if that were to happen, Austin has beat LAFC twice this season, once over there and then once here. I think, it was a really big deal that even, I'm not sure if it was The Guardian or someone, a journalist wrote something about it because there was this big fight or whatever, and Austin won 4-1. So it was, a really great game for us locally. But yeah, so that's what's kind of on the table. They have such a really great team. Sebastian Driussi, as I've said, that guy, if you put him in front of, give him the ball and he's in front of the goal, he will make that. Put the ball in the back of the net. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the only thing is that Austin has never beaten Dallas. They've never beat them. And they're very, very young rivalry, I guess you would call it. So I don't know, Dallas could be the favorite to win this game.
Michelle, it says here 48% win probability to Austin.
Yeah. yeah. I mean, like I said, I think that comes with home advantage, right? Austin has that, and so which is why the probability is a little bit, bigger. But I would say Austin has a very, very weak defense, and you have Ferreira, who plays for the U.S. men's national team, who's their forward when it comes to Dallas. So I don't know. It's going to be very tough. I don't know. I don't want to say it, but Dallas could easily, if they don't start strong, Dallas could be the favorites and take over, even if they're playing here. So they really need to come out, strong, focus, just like they have been. But it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be so fun to watch. So I encourage everyone to watch this game.
Yeah, it is. And it's going to be on Monday, the 24th of October. So it's this Monday at 1 o'clock our time. But I think free. What time is it your time over there?
7 p.m. Sunday on ESPN. But I don't know where would you guys see that actually.
We can get it over. I'm pretty sure a lot of people can in the comments. Let us know where you would probably watch this game. It is going to be early morning Monday, late night Sunday. Sorry. So do go check it out because it's a very important game. Really is indeed. What do you think this means for Austin? Because they are such a new club into the system to be able to reach a final and potentially win it. Do you think this changes the scope on the whole league itself and the fact that anybody can win it, and it brings more interest into the sport in America?
Of course, it would give them, if they were to win on Sunday in Montreal, today wins, they will go into the CONCACAF tournament. They will qualify into the CONCACAF 2023, obviously. But that would be their first time. So it's a lot of firsts. A lot of firsts for them. But I just think they would get recognized, at a higher level, and I think they would get the respect from the league, because the league, hasn't had them in the beginning, as a club that wasn't going to make the playoffs. So I think this is a big deal, and big deal for Josh Wolf and Claudio Reina and what they're doing with the organization, without putting a lot of money in buying like big names to the club. I mean, because in reality, Sebastian Driussi is the star here, but I don't think people who didn't follow him, like from River, knew who he was. I didn't know who he was, but they've done such a good job of getting, these very, very good players that aren't necessarily big name. And I think that's what kind of represents Austin in a way, because Austin is such a small city, and, you just have, it's a small gem, and I think the club represents that very well.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good to hear that Austin are actually doing something that they probably didn't expect to do in such a short time. I've got some comments here as well. One from Brush to you, Michelle. Big up to Brush, mate. He'll be on hopefully Monday, I think, for the Football Politics show, and hopefully Tuesday. I'll get in touch with you, Brush, and let you know. Michelle, which players should we be keeping an eye on? We've seen the likes of Almiron come over, and he's now performing like he did in the MLS. Yeah, he's been brilliant for Newcastle recently. So, yeah, who else, Michelle, we got to really keep our eyes on in the MLS at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's this kid that Chelsea wants to get. I forgot his name. I can't think of it right now, but I think he plays for Chicago, and I think Chelsea is very interested. He's like 18 years old, so he's one. There's a goalkeeper, Blake. He's really good as well. I'm not sure if there's any interest, but definitely Danny Pereira from Austin FC. He's here on a visa. And can't go back to his country because he's here on seeking asylum, but he's really good. I think the kid, once he's done with Austin FC, he can have a career, in Europe, play over there. But I would say from top of my head, those are big names, or few key players that I would kind of keep my eye on.
There you go, Brush. You have your answer there. He's also got another question for you just after Niall's comment. Big up, Niall. Thank you so much for tuning in. Smash like, share, subscribe if you can. Please, everybody. Thank you so much. Brush says, also thoughts on Alan Velasco.
Very, very good. I haven't been keeping up a lot with him, so I will redirect that question, but I need to do my homework on him a little more. So I won't give you a false answer.
You can't be put on the spot like that, Brush. There's so many players in the world, but maybe Brush, he might be. Let us know, Brush, actually, what you think of Alan Velasco, if you can, please, mate. That'd be good, because we're all here to learn as well. That's the whole point of it. We've also got to learn about the Mexican Liga MX midway review. So let us know, Michelle, what's been going on there. You said it's been a very good season in Mexico this year.
Yeah, America. So everything's kind of wrapping up here. Obviously, Liga MX, you have America, who's a really, really big club in Mexico. And so they are playing tonight, their match. And, they have their favorites to win it. But then you have Pachuca, where my family's from. So they actually won Thursday night as well, 3-2 or 4-2, I think, towards the end. And so they played 2 legs in Liga MX, and so they will play tomorrow. But it's going to be so fun. It's so fun to see all these, players getting the time in before the World Cup. And so America, I mean, they have a really, really big, team they're like the Cowboys of America football. But yeah, they're really exciting to see. And so They will play against Monterrey tonight, and that's kind of, they won, I think, like by a large margin last game, so they were definitely favorites to win it tonight. But it's not going to be easy. It is Liga MX at the end of the day, and all teams in Mexico are pretty strong, obviously, for obvious reasons right now that we're in the playoffs. But it's going to be. I want America to win it, and I want Pachuca to go to the final. That would be fun.
You say like Monterrey usually make it, don't they, to the World Club Cup, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. It's funny that you say that. They have a really strong team as well. That's why I wouldn't knock them out. But right now, America just has a really, really, really stronger team, I think, this season.
So they're on 17 games so far. Is it literally you play to the teams twice before the end of the actual league?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a long way to go on that. But you were saying about like getting into the CONCACAF.
CONCACAF, yeah. I don't know exactly how it's panning out, in Liga MX as of now. So, but yeah, my Cruz Azul. I'm usually a Cruz Azul fan, so they got knocked down. They didn't make it.
Not good enough, no.
Not good enough this season.
It is what it is. What do you think about this whole thing? There's still talk about maybe the MLS linking up with Liga MX. I still hear about it. I still hear whispers. Do you think it should be happening, or do you think people should be talking about it, or do you think it should still be separate? MLS should focus on building up what they've got going right now, and the fact that Liga MX, like you said, Club America, they've got a huge fan base. They're a big club. So are Monterrey as well, and a few other clubs, and it's quite a competitive Liga MX. They don't necessarily need the MLS to make it better.
Yeah. I mean, they have a few tournaments here and cups that they play, like some, teams from MLS with Liga MX. So they've played around with that idea, but I just think because they play around the same time, the tournaments as well, it's going to be so hard to get them, to have their own, tournament, league, whatever, that you want to get both clubs or both leagues involved in. I just think schedules and all that, it would be really hard to do. So we'll see what happens, but I know there's talk and stuff like that, but we'll see. I would say maybe in the next few years, but it's not something that they're going to do now. Yeah, no. It wouldn't work just because there's just so much going on.
Would you say that Club America are going to win the league this season?
I would say yes.
Okay. Pretty simple. Pretty easy. Thank you, Michelle. I love your honesty.
Short and sweet.
Bro says it's all good. Thank you. No, yeah, Brush, honestly, if you know about a player, I've never heard of Alan Velasco, and Michelle probably needs to see a little bit more because maybe he's not quite well known in the MLS. But Brush, you know your football too, so we'd love to hear your thoughts on it, mate. We really would. Solo from the Man United Agenda, big up, mate. Thank you for tuning in. Final topic then, Michelle, is USA Mexico hopes for the World Cup in Qatar, which is coming up in around about 4 weeks or so. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it. What do you think for the chances of both nations this year?
Do you see my face? That's crazy. I don't know. Oh, my gosh. I mean, when it comes to El Tri, la Selección Mexicana, unfortunately, they're having at least such a hard time to, they haven't even, Tata Martino hasn't even put out the squad yet, what players are actually going to go to the World Cup. So there's a lot of frustration when it comes to us, the Mexican fans. He didn't call Chicharito. Some people argue that, hey, we don't need Chicharito. I would say the contrary. I mean, the guy just, went to playoffs. He's still doing really good here at Galaxy. But, I mean, I think they're going to get knocked out pretty soon. Not the strongest Mexican, team that I've seen since I've, for a while now. They didn't win a lot of games when they were here, because they usually do like a tour here in the United States. And, the fans here get to see Mexico play. But, when they played those friendlies matches, they were really bad. I think they lost, and then they think they tied. So, and it was with these, countries that didn't make the World Cup. So it was very disheartening. It's been tough. It's been a rough time to see them. However, I do hold on to a little bit of hope, maybe like 5% of me, that Tata Martino will be able to bring a strong squad and will be able to turn things around and make a big impact, but we'll see. That's my analysis on Mexico. It's gonna be it's gonna be a struggle. The same goes for the US.
They've got a tough group, haven't they? I mean, Argentina is a tough bet in that group. I mean, and Poland as well are not too bad, to be fair. I mean, they've earned their right to be there. So it's difficult for Mexico, but I can actually see them having a good chance of at least getting through with Argentina. You think so too?
Possibly, yes. We'll see. But yeah, that Argentina game, we were just talking about it last night, actually, me and my brother. We were talking about what we were going to do and, what we thought. Obviously, when we play Argentina, it's always intense. It's like sit in and strap on, and we'll see what happens. But, Messi's last World Cup, more than likely, obviously. So we'll see. I mean, Argentina is a very, very strong,
Is it maybe Chicharito's last World Cup? Is he going to be going for Mexico?
Who?
Chicharito.
Oh, Chicharito. Yeah, I mean, his last World Cup, yeah, I guess it was the last one, because he's not getting called to this one. Tata Martino doesn't want him. There's been some friction between both of them. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Mexico, this World Cup is not going to be that great. Some argue that they don't need Chicharito. I argue the contrary. They say that he's too old. But, he's doing really good here, so he's still playing, but, I mean, Tata Martino feels different, but we'll see. Chucky Lozano, I mean, he's Napoli, doing really well, so he may be the star if he could stay healthy for Selección El Tri Mexicana, but we'll see. Yeah, well, it's going to be tough. I mean, and then you have US. They also have somewhat of a tough opponents. Yeah, we'll see as well with the US. I don't know. What do you think? I'm curious.
It's hard for me because I've got the USA, Wales, and Iran. Like, I mean, having Wales and America in the same group in the World Cup, it just feels very strange to me to have that. Someone, a next door neighbor, and then literally the neighbor next door to them across the pond, and we're all in the same group. It just seems a bit rad. It's going to be difficult because I know Wales are really going to go all out. I think America obviously are looking very good. The youthful structure that America have right now, and the players that they do have playing in some of the biggest competitions in the world at the moment. Talking about Champions League, talking about Pulisic, you're talking about is it McKennie as well?
Mm-hmm.
Who's doing really well in Germany, I believe, right? Yeah. So it's looking good for America too. And England have fallen flat a little bit recently, but we still have a lot of good options. So it's going to be very tough. But what do you think for America's aspect on this group? How is it going to feel for them?
As of lately, from what I've been reading and seeing the fans' reaction, because I'm not a big USA fan, obviously, because I'm Mexican, but I live in the US, and I wish them well. But there's always been this identity crisis with me when it comes to the US and cheering for them. So I root against them all the time.
Ooh, smoking.
I know. But no, I mean, look, you've said it very well. They have a really young team. They have a strong team. But as of lately, they had been struggling just like Mexico. So we'll see what happens. I was actually talking to Grant Wall. He used to work at Sports Illustrated. Some guys may know who he is. He's a really good journalist and covers the U.S. men's national team, and so he's excited. He doesn't know what to expect either because they've done so good and did really good in the World Cup qualifiers, but with friendlies as well. I think Berhalter was trying a few different things, and it's a lot of doubt has crept into the fans. So we'll see. They should be able to make it though, and get out of that group. I think they have a easier group than Mexico, maybe.
So you think USA more likely to do better than Mexico?
Yeah.
Because of the groups, and it's not because you actually want them to. It's just the fact that your brain says.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they have a better squad. I do. I mean, they have a younger squad. Mexico has talent, but I just don't know if, the coach is going to use that talent the right way because he hasn't been doing it very well.
Big up to Leicester Till I Die. He does a really good podcast on Leicester City Football Club. If you want to go and check that out, please do. And please check out the Man United Agenda. And check out everybody else that's in the chat as well. Matt Bassett, Brush, and everybody tuning in. Smash like, share, subscribe if you can. He says having Wales in the World Cup feels weird. See? It's strange. They haven't been in the World Cup for about 60-something years.
I mean, didn't Italy miss the World Cup for the second time?
I think this is the third time running.
Oh, third time.
I think so. I think this is the third time running.
Yeah, that feels weird to me.
There goes 1958. There you go. Since 1958, it is weird that Italy have not done so well. I'm pretty sure it's 3 World Cups now in a row. It's not. I was surprised. I was surprised at 2, but when I heard 3, I was like, oh my god, it must be. So I think maybe they didn't go to the one in Brazil, didn't go to Russia, and they didn't go to this one. So this is the third one. Yeah. Wow. I mean. Wow, what's going? Maybe just to ask you on that, then, Michelle, because you seem surprised. What's going on? Do you think with Italian soccer? It seems to have fallen flat, probably since Ronaldo left. To be fair, Juventus, it just seems to have died down. You've seen Matey from Argentina and Juventus, Dybala going to Roma, which doesn't seem right to me in the head. I've never heard of a player leave Juventus to go to Roma. It'd usually be the other way around. But yeah, what do you make of Italian football right now and the fact that they are missing out on so many World Cups, even though they won the Euros against England last summer?
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's what I've heard, like, oh, they won the Europe, but they're not going to the World Cup. Yeah, I have no clue. I am not the expert as to what's going on there. From as far as I know, I mean, like I said, I think Chucky Lozano is doing somewhat good with Napoli, but I don't really know what's going on with them. I mean, we used to put them really, high on top, right? And so I think soccer is just changing, I guess. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of politics behind all that, though.
I think there probably is. And I know that we're going to be talking, I think, hopefully on Monday about the returning proposal of the Super League, which is apparently back on the table again. And they're hoping that all clubs from the Premier League, hopefully Bundesliga, even though it's 50+1. So that's a very difficult area to try and grab teams from because they literally stick to their guns. So I doubt that will happen. And obviously Barcelona, Real Madrid are in that anyway, the equation. They always have been. They've never left it. So, yeah, I wonder how that's going to go because eventually it will happen, I think, Michelle. I think you'll see a different Champions League. I think it will be split into 2 separate groups, which will be like two groups of 10, and it will be like a league, and then it will go into a quarters, semis, finals.
How do you feel about that? I think your face says it all.
Well, no, do you know what? I mean, my face maybe is not telling what my heart feels, but I just think that it might not be a good idea. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I think the original Champions League is going to turn out that way anyway in a couple of years. So it's going to be the same either way. It's just who's running it. I think
Yeah.
that's what I worry about, because are we happy with UEFA? I don't think we are. As people in Europe are not happy with the way they run things. We know there's corruption with FIFA and UEFA in it, and it's sort of a mirror image. But having someone like the owners of Barcelona, Real Madrid, and probably the Glazers, might I add, sorry to throw them in. I know they're, USA owners, aren't they? Well, you got it at Chelsea, haven't you? You got Todd Bowley now. Actually, I haven't asked you that, Michelle.
I was gonna ask you. So what? How did? What's going on? Like, what's the feel like? I actually wanted to ask you about that, and I wanted to ask you about Ronaldo, but.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe Todd Bowley first. I think it's good so far. I'm seeing that they're trying to do the same things as Moneyball. You know, that film with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. I feel like they're going to try and go that way eventually, because they will want to make money back on buying the club for about 3 billion, which is the biggest in football in history. There's no way you should put that in just to have a little play around. So there's definitely going to want to make some money back. I like the fact that they've got Graham Potter in from Brighton. He's a young English manager, very talented. And I think there's only a good future if they can stick with it, because, Chelsea do like to get rid of managers very quickly. Tuchel, you know what he done? He won the World Club Cup and the Champions League, and then gets sacked. And you kind of think he did all that in like a year or a year and a half. And you kind of think, wow, magnificent. Yet he still is under fire. So with the new owners, maybe they're trying to rejuvenate the whole look of Chelsea and trying to give Graham Potter, I think, more than a couple of years at least to try and change the balance, which is in the Premier League. But talking about Ronaldo, what was you going to ask me about the fact that he's stroppy at United and he walked off the pitch yesterday? And I have like a 50-50 on that. Like, he could be upset with himself, the fact that he's not doing enough to be able to get into the first team, and that's why he's stroppy with himself and not actually the club, because he did come out with a statement saying I should have dealt with that better, meaning that maybe he was just a bit frustrated at the time and shouldn't have probably walked off and been so sad and stroppy about what he was doing. But yeah, it's definitely difficult because Man United, as you can see tonight, I think the only thing they were lacking against Chelsea was a striker. I think Ronaldo's probably hitting that point in his career where he probably does need to settle down and go to a club where he's not going to be playing all the time, because he just isn't physically that capable, I think, this season, even though he was the best player for us last season and was our top goal scorer. But when you're that age, it can run up on you very quickly. And I think it really has done. We have seen him playing at Man United recently, and he has really looked quite flat, and he looks like he's out of breath and he can't really go for everything. So that's my worry for him. I do want to see him maybe go back to Sporting Lisbon and get back into the Champions League, because I really know that he just wants to get back into that race of being the top person in Champions League, having a good goal scoring rate, etc., etc. This is the first season for something years, 15, 20 years maybe, of not being in the Champions League since he started probably at Sporting Lisbon, Man United. So it's difficult for him. What do you make of it, Michelle?
Yeah, I mean, look, he wants out, right? And I feel like if, with all these rumors and all the things, I think it does get to a person eventually, and you do kind of just want to maybe not try your best. I don't want to say that's what he's doing, but I also know that this is, he's probably gonna peace out, and then we'll see. And then the World Cup, it's around the corner as well. So I don't know. I don't know. I thought going to Manchester United was the right move, but now I think I'm being proved right by the people that said he shouldn't go.
No, you've been right. He had a great first season. He was the highest goal scorer at the club, and I think he's 7 goals away from getting 150 in total for Man United, and he got about 101 for Juventus and 400 and something for Real Madrid. He's prolific. That's why he's got that over 700 goals in internationals. And I think it's nearly 800 goals in internationals and club career. So he's probably the best we've ever seen. Would you like to see him in the MLS, though, maybe, if he does leave Man United this summer?
Oh, my God, yes.
Where's he going to go, Michelle? Where's he going to go?
He could come to Austin FC. Come on.
I was going to hear that.
No, I mean, I would love to see him, but like I've said in the past, I think he just has a lot already, you know, when it comes to his family and his son, if he wants to be a professional soccer player. I mean, you don't come to the U.S. Obviously, you know, he may have the means to fly there and fly back and still be with his family, but, you know, I don't know. I would like for him to come here, but I don't think he wants to come here. And you know, if he wants to support his, you know, junior in his soccer dreams, I think, you know, he has the best of the best in Europe. So why come here, you know?
Because he'll make a lot of money, and I think he will eventually, even if he's in his 40s. Yeah. I think even in his 40 years old, I still think he'll go and sign for an MLS. Because I just think it's for franchise over there, especially. People go, well, we can have him in the team. That'll be great.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, exactly. If he were to come, he will come, you know, in a few years from now, but not now for sure. I don't see that happening, and obviously he's gonna want a lot of money. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe he'll go to LA Galaxy or something. I mean, I think Suarez is supposed to be going to Galaxy actually.
Yeah, so he needs to do something because it's not happening at Atletico Madrid, is it?
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, yeah, I think that's my 2 cents. Obviously, you know, he kind of reminds me of Tom Brady. I don't know if you know, American football. Tom Brady was supposed to retire, and now I think he's going through a divorce with his wife. But it's, you know, it's this, you know, when all you've done in life is be the best at a sport, and Tom Brady is one of the best quarterbacks in American football, it's like you leave that identity there and you don't know what to do once it's no longer there. It's like you're a lost person. So I don't know. I always think about Ronaldo, Tom Brady, and you know, obviously with all the rumors circling Ronaldo, I wonder what's going to happen. You know, I don't know. Crazy.
Well, it is crazy. I think he's definitely going to bow out at the World Cup. He won't be doing another one of those. So this will be the last time. So congratulations when you do watch him. Leicester Till I Die says, wasn't it a shame about Italy? Not. And Big G says he's trapped, unfortunately, contracted and not been allowed to leave because of money and shirt sales, which is a Glazers thing, which is exactly what I was saying. The fact that they're American owners, so they thought having Ronaldo for another season would rake in more money than not having him.
Yeah, and that's what Americans don't care about. I mean, you see the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, it's like the wealthiest owner on this planet, I think.
They are. No. Do you know what the funny thing? I think they are. They're the wealthiest sports team.
Yeah,
but
they are. Yeah,
recently, in the last couple of days, Man United got put up for sale by the Glazers. 10 billion. Which is, I think, 5 billion more than the Dallas Cowboys is worth.
That's crazy. They're crazy. Imagine having
I lost Michelle. She was just about to say something so important there. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in tonight and subscribing, sharing and liking if you can do. If you haven't watched the show, please go back and have a look if you can, because it's been a very good, interesting chat. And the MLS is still going on right now. We've got the semi-final of the conference leagues, which you need to go check out. Please do that. It's a game. Let's go back to check that out for you. There's a game on tomorrow. It's Austin versus Dallas. So please go check that out. I wonder if Michelle will come back. Matthew Bassett says, evening all. He says, big up everyone on the show. Brush says, big up, guys. And he says, oh, he asked that one for Michelle. Big ups, Niall Kane. Brush says also thoughts on Alan Velasco. We need to go and look up Alan Velasco, Brush. We really do. Apologies for that. Big up, guys, from Solo. Leicester Till I Die says, big up, guys. Leicester Till I Die, having Wales in the World Cup feels weird. Yes, we read that one out already. 1958 was the last time Wales were in the World Cup. Wasn't it a shame about Italy? Not. And Big G says he's trapped, unfortunately, contracted and not been allowed to leave because of money and shirt sales. Well, we were literally going to finish up there. I think Michelle, unfortunately, has got cut off. I've not had a message either, so I wonder whether she's coming back in. I'll leave it one more minute just to see. But once again, I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It was a brilliant chat. Big G says, no offense intended, this is why Americanos don't work right in English football. Well, this is the thing, isn't it? And Michelle's back. There she is. Hello,
I'm
Michelle.
back. I am so sorry. My phone died. It just out of nowhere. But anyways.
Boop, boop, boop. So Big G asked you a question. He says, no offense intended, Michelle. This is why American owners don't work right in English football.
No, I think I think him and everyone's I think we all think the same thing. Honestly, all Americans. We're so entitled to a lot of things, right? But I think the sentiment is the same. I mean, I have the same feeling about that. Me personally, I don't like that either. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. We can't control all the big cats up there, can we, with the money, unfortunately, Michelle? But, we love our clubs, and hopefully our fan support can change things and not necessarily let people get too cozy in their seat when we don't appreciate the way that they're running things, which is all about demonstrations and protests, which we can do, which Man United are still doing to get the Glazers out. So well done for that. Keep it on. We are going to finish up. Michelle, thank you so much for coming on again. Really, really, really do appreciate it. And can you let everybody know where they can find you on social media?
You can find me on social media at Michelle S_TV. And I, hope everyone watches tomorrow's match, Sunday for me, 7 p.m. Central Time, Austin FC versus Dallas. And it's going to be such a good game. You won't want to miss it. I mean, Austin is so fun to watch. A young team, and I would say, an underdog this season. And so they will be going against their rivals right up the street, Dallas. So very, very exciting.
Yes, indeed. That is Monday morning, 1:00 UK time. Okay. So make sure tomorrow night you stay awake for a little bit longer because it kicks off at 1:00 in the morning. So do check it out. If you don't, just watch the highlights in the morning.
Yep.
It's a really, really big derby game.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back again Monday for the Football Politics Show, talking about, obviously, the proposal of the Super League being back on the table. And we're back Tuesday for United Across the Globe, talking about United drawing 1-1 with Chelsea tonight and talking about Europa League and the next game for United. Take care, everybody. Have a brilliant rest of your weekend, and we shall see you soon.
Thank you. Take care. Good luck.
Bye-bye.